Cindy Kelsey is on the phone line.
Pardon me?
One of our counselors, Cindy Kelsey, is
Oh,
calling in by phone.
Okay.
Yes.
And I hope Cindy's on. I see Cindy, somebody down there, Deachman?
Yeah, that's our deputy clerk.
You're now live.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll call the meeting to order. And the first thing I have to do is ask from the county council members present if you have any pecuniary interest to declare tonight and the nature thereof. Having seen no hands go up, I'll move on to the first resolution. Jeanette, we're going into closed session, I believe.
Yes, through you, Warden Doyle, moved by Deputy Warden Higgins, seconded by Councillor Smith. Resolved that council resolve itself into committee of the whole closed session as authorized under section 239 of the Municipal Act to consider a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. And this is as it relates to the Rogers Tower locations.
Any questions on that resolution? I'll call the vote then. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, now we flip over to the closed session, and I presume we have to cut the connection for the open meeting.
That is correct. So everyone is going to log out of this meeting and log into the closed link that you were provided with.
Oh, okay. I guess I hope I can find that. I forgot there was another link. Well, we'll see you on the other side, folks.
Can close the fucking door.
I guess we're all back. I don't know, see many bodies there. Jerry, are we all back? I don't know. I'm only getting you and Frontenac County. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, Dennis is there.
Hi, it's Angelique here. You have to go into the link for the closed session. You should have received that through email. There's a closed session, or if you prefer, you can just stay here as well, but it's a separate link.
I did not get a separate link for a closed session.
Okay.
It's Ron here. I just checked my email. I didn't get one either.
Let me read. I don't have everyone's email addresses. I don't think I have Councillor Martin's. I've got Deputy Warden Brown Higgins.
What email address do you have for Higgins?
Just 1 second.
Feel like you must have mine since I got the first link. It's Doug Morey here.
Okay, just 1 moment. I'll try and see if I can get you the link here. I can't put it in the chat. So
Should we sign out and back in? I signed out and went back in, and I've only got a few people on here, Jeanette. It's Tom
no,
Dewey.
it's Angelique, and it's actually
Oh, it's
most people
Angelique.
are in on the closed session right now. I'm going back and forth between both.
I don't think my speaker's working. Somebody shut me off.
We can hear you, Councillor Martin. Let me email you the link. Just 1 second.
Do you want us to go out, Angelique?
Yeah, you need to leave this one to go into the closed session.
Well, then send me the link again. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Jesus Murphy.
Jerry, are you on this meeting?
Hey, Dennis, it's Ron here. Some of us didn't get the email link to the closed meetings, so Angelique's gone away to send it to us.
Oh, okay, because I can't find it. I had 3 for this one.
Yeah,
Three.
I couldn't
three
find
se-
it either. I got all kinds of reminders, but nothing for closed.
That's right. I thought one of them must have, but I just tried every one of them. Well, I guess we'll stand by for
So
the
did I.
email then.
Yeah, I'm going to stay online here.
You're going to
Well,
stand there.
Angelique
It
comes
just
back.
gives me a second. I have to log into my emails, okay? And it's going to be just, if you want to close out of this one, I'll send you the link shortly.
Yeah, please
Okay.
do that. I'll close out.
Being recorded.
We're back.
Some of us are back. We even have Darlene with us this time. You didn't mean to have your camera on, I bet, Darlene. I think we have a quorum. Jeanette, you want to read the resolution?
Sorry, if you just give me 1 minute, I just want to ensure, so I'm going to go down the recipient list.
And do you have the session open up to the public, or was it ever closed on this link?
I don't believe it was closed.
Because we don't want to have to do it all over again.
And I've been on all along, Dennis. I was just hiding before.
Okay, good. I'll trust you.
So I'm just not seeing Councillor Revel. Is he here?
I don't recall seeing him on the first one, come to think of it.
He was on the first one, yes.
Was he? Okay.
Yes, he's in the Township of South Frontenac Council Chamber. But you do have quorum if you wanted to start without him.
Okay, I think we will. We'll call it back to order. I've got a problem with my phone here. It's my grandson's birthday and he's trying to get a hold of me. Yeah. Okay.
So you do have a resolution to move out of closed session. It's moved by Councillor Haig, seconded by Councillor Martin. Resolved that Council rise from committee of the whole closed session without reporting.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we have another presentation. And I think, Jim, you were going to do this one. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Warden. Yes.
So you've got the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, members of County Council. It's just great to be back to give you an update on our cell project and a little bit of discussion on the province's funding for connectivity towards the end. I have with me Lisa Severson, who's the Director of Communications for EORN, Marco Schmitz, who you all know very, very well as part of the comms team. Heather Wrightley is also on the comms team, and I'm supporting EORN through doing some Indigenous consultation work and on the comms team as well. And of course, we have some Rogers communications representatives, I think, here with us as well this afternoon. So it just thank you. Oh yeah, Lisa Hervey is here as well. Sorry, Lisa, my apologies. Lisa's our CFO at EORN. Thanks, Marco. So we'll just walk through a quick slide deck and lots of time for questions. And we'll just get going. Marco's going to run it for me. Marco, next slide. As I said, we had a very short agenda for the presentation. Want to give you an update, and that's the main part of the discussion tonight around the CellGrot project that we're working on. A little bit about the funding for connectivity that the province and the feds have going, and then time for questions, of course. And then Rogers will be doing a presentation, I understand, as well. Next slide. So a little bit about an update on EORN's cell gap project, just to bring the county up. And of course, Frontenac County has always been a big partner and an important leader with the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus and with EORN as we do these connectivity projects. So as I say, it's great to be here tonight. So just to give you a quick overview of the project itself. It includes about 300 existing Rogers cell towers that will be upgraded as part of the project with new equipment that will be able to deliver 5G services from those towers. Another approximately 265 brand new sites that we need to build over the next 4 years that will be also part of the project, and about 75 of those will be co-locations. That's where Rogers will put the new gear on an existing tower that might be owned by another telecom. So it's a way of minimizing the amount of construction that's required. A lot of work is already underway with the project. In terms of the tower upgrades, we're actually up to about 159 or so now since we put the slide together in terms of those upgrades, putting the new equipment on. So Rogers is making great progress with that. Everything that we need to do with this project, and it's about a $300 million investment in total, needs to be done by the end of 2025. It's not a long time for a big regional project like that, but we're confident, and Rogers is confident, that we'll meet that target. The idea, of course, with this project is simply it's fairly simple, is to make sure that we can have Eastern Ontario covered for cellular connectivity. And we also want to boost the capacity in the network so people can do more work. And I'll speak about that in just a minute. And importantly, part of what EORN does in terms of its regional projects is enter into agreements, and we call them a service level agreement. And we have, in this case, with Rogers Communications, these agreements are about making sure that the services that we've asked to be delivered by Rogers as part of this project will be delivered. And those agreements are in place 5 years after construction is done, so that we can ensure that we maintain that service to the customers across our region. So EORN's in it for the next 10 years or so in terms of both construction, getting that done, and of course, monitoring with Rogers the services that are provided. So that's a bit of an overview. Next slide, Marco. Again, just a quick slide on why we're doing this. And it is a project that the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus sponsored and asked EORN to deliver. And we're doing that with our partners at Rogers, and of course with Canada and Ontario helping us pay for this. But the idea is to close coverage gaps across Eastern Ontario, our region, and everybody knows who drives around that we've got problems. And not only close those coverage gaps, make sure that people can stay connected when they're on a call. And we need to do that by boosting capacity and, of course, putting the infrastructure in place, the tower infrastructure that will allow us to close those gaps. From our point of view, it also has a really important public safety benefit. And that means that now people who will need to make a 911 call, if they need to make that emergency call, that they'll be able to do that. And that's really critical. And there are, as you know, large gaps in our area where that's not possible. So we want to fix that, and we will do that. We think putting in this new infrastructure and improving the connectivity is also going to be helpful for municipalities for the services that we provide. And I've just listed a couple here: paramedics and public works. We want, for instance, an ambulance to be able to stay in contact with the receiving hospital as the ambulance is making its way there, and be able to do video links and that kind of connectivity with the hospital. So it's better for our paramedic service. It's going to be better for public works to be able to connect it. And you can just imagine what it would do for the other services that we as municipalities offer. It's got a business benefit. We know that the tourism industry is looking for better connectivity, not only for their own operations, but of course for their customers, as the customers are coming to their location. So that's going to be a big benefit. And importantly, although it's not part of our project, we believe that putting this infrastructure in place will allow Rogers, who are going to be building these towers, to improve their and offer wireless connectivity services on the broadband front. So it's got that kind of dual benefit for connectivity overall. So these are just a few of the I guess the highlights of the project and why it's so important for us to get it done. Next slide, Marco. Thanks. We had to commit to both the federal and provincial governments, and of course to the people of Eastern Ontario and to the EOWC, that there were some specific goals that we needed to meet in doing this project. This is the coverage side. 99% of the region where people live, work, and travel will be able to make that important cell phone call and keep that call going. So we want that ubiquitous coverage. We also want to make sure, and we've committed to a goal of 95%, that in that same area that we'll be able to do more than just make a phone call, that people will be able to use the technology to do the email, do browsing, social media services, those kinds of things. So across 95% of that same region. And the third goal is, again, even higher capacity to allow high definition services when you're using your phone or your tablet, video conferencing, streaming movies, if that's what a customer wanted to do, and other data intensive applications. So it's about being connected. It's about being able to stay connected, and it's about being able to more than do just a simple phone call. It's about all of those other things. So it's a really important advancement for us in the world of connectivity for users, residents, travelers, businesses, you name it. They'll all get a better benefit from this project. Next slide. This is a really important map from our point of view, because it gives you an idea of what the projected coverage is going to look like, that 99% when it's all done. This is from Rogers has graciously given us this map to use in these presentations. And you can see the great improvement in terms of the coverage when the whole project is done, when it's all finished. The white areas are generally where there's really no roads, no people, and so the coverage isn't going there necessarily. But we are covering 99% of the region, and that's a goal that we have to meet by the end of the project, and we're absolutely confident that that will happen. So this gives you an idea of the scale of what we're trying to do. We've been working hard, as I said. It's been a long process to get to the building of the project. We go back to 2014 when the Warden's Caucus said, hey, Eorn, start figuring out how you can fix the cellular situation in Eastern Ontario. And so we've been at it for a long time, but in January of 2021, we started working with our Indigenous neighbors and organizations. The duty to consult that we're doing is going to go on, and you'll see a slide throughout the course of the project, and we're very heavily into that. And that's been, I think, a really good effort on all of our behalves. We announced Rogers back in March of 21 as the successful bidder. Went through a very extensive process to do that, to get to Rogers as the winning bidder. We also started last fall, and a really important part of the project, and that is doing archaeological assessments of the proposed new tower sites across the region. It's part of the work that we're doing through our Indigenous consultations. It's important to do these archaeological stage 1 and stage 2 assessments. That work is underway right now across the region. We've got a number of archaeological firms under contract that are looking at the proposed sites. As I said, we've upgraded a bunch of towers, more than 140 now, and 6 of the 265 tower sites we're working on getting through construction. And you'll see why it takes a long time to get a tower to the construction phase. We've got a slide that speaks to that coming up. So it's a process, and that's why it's going to take us a few years. Just wanted to spend half a minute or two on First Nations consultations, because it is an extremely important part of the project and the work that we're doing, and we're really pleased to be doing it. We're working with First Nations across Eastern Ontario, and in some cases that are resident outside of our region, and with quite a number of Indigenous organizations. So our job is to talk to them, speak to them, listen to them, understand their concerns and to keep them up to date on the progress that we're making. It's really essential to the project. And I need to say that both EORN and certainly the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, right from day one, have made it quite clear that the benefits of a project like this has to extend to all communities across Eastern Ontario, municipal and Indigenous. And that's been an operating principle that EORN has worked with, but certainly the EOWC has made very clear that that needs to be in place as we do a project like this one, and that's what we're working to do. First Nations consultations will continue right through the entire length of the project. It's not a we just do at one point and that's it. No, we'll be working with the communities right through the next 4 years or so as we move forward. Next slide. This is we wanted to show this slide because it's important to understand really the steps that go into the major steps that go into getting to the stage of actually constructing a tower. There's the engineering side and design side of first finding a property that's going to allow us to put a tower in a certain location that will fix a coverage gap. Then Rogers needs to negotiate a lease with the private landowner in order to put that tower on that person's property. We're going through First Nations consultations through the whole part of all of these, but we're going to be working with the communities. Rogers will be coming, and they'll be coming to many of your local communities in Frontenac County to get land use authority approval from you in order to erect that tower site. And you'll be seeing that if you haven't already started to see some of the Rogers representatives come to your community, so you will. The archaeological assessments are going on right now. Once there's an LUA, or even slightly before that, when there's a lease in place, we're starting the archaeological assessments. And we have to notify the province once the site is ready to proceed. And of course, there's all of the site preparations. This whole, and I think Rogers will speak to this later, this whole process of getting to construction can take up to 2.5 years on a tower site. It takes quite an amount of time to work through, but you have to get through all of these steps in order to get to the go for construction. Next slide. It's just a slide that speaks to how we're paying for the project, or we're funding it. As I said, it's more than a $300 million investment in our region for this infrastructure. Rogers committed through its contract to fund $150 or so million. It's a minimum investment. The government of Ontario and the government of Canada are both in the $71 million range in terms of their commitment. And of course, Frontenac County, along with its members in the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, and also the 9 of 10 communities in Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus, are contributing about $10 million towards the cost of the project. Your contribution as Frontenac County is just under $400,000, and we thank you, of course, for that we And we just wanted to make one point that we try very hard at EORN to keep the project management costs low. And so we anticipate coming in at about 6% of project costs for the project. Our goal is to put as much money into the infrastructure as possible. We're not in it. EORN doesn't make a profit, of course, on this. It's simply to administer the project, to get the work done and make sure we get as much money into the infrastructure side as possible. So that's how we're funding the $300 million plus cost of the project. Next slide. So going forward this year, there's lots going on. We anticipate on quite a number of new tower builds, around 20 or so this year, and about 20 on the co-location side. Through 2022, again, lots of work in terms of upgrading or uplifting the existing towers. Rogers anticipates about 300, most of them being done in terms of the uplifts this year. Site acquisitions are carrying on. As I mentioned, the land use authority process, which you will be a part of, and of course our consultations and the archaeological assessments all will continue. There will be opportunities to make further public announcements when the new builds are underway or are up. It's important for the public to know that we're making progress on the project, and certainly it's important for municipal members who are part of Eastern Ontario to also have that same information. So lots going on this year. This is a really busy year for the project. But that's what we need to do to make it happen. Next slide. So that's it for my my overview, Mr. Warden, in terms of the project, the cell project. If I can just finish off with just a couple of quick slides on what's going on the broadband world from a provincial and federal point of view, then we can get to questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, we'd appreciate an update on broadband.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Very
Excellent.
good presentation, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Your Honor. So as you know, EORN had a proposal to do a fiber to the home project. We called it the GIG project for the region, but the decisions were made that Ontario and Canada were going to be, they had their own programs that they wanted to put in place, which they've done. In the terms of the provincial initiative, they've actually brought in legislation to support their program, the Getting Ontario Connected Act, the Building Better Broadband Act, and all of which is designed to meet their commitment to achieve 100% of connections to homes and businesses across Ontario where they aren't connected today, at least the 50-10, that's 50 megabits down, 10 megabits up standard by the end of 2025. So that's a commitment that the province has made. They've got an extensive process underway, part of which is what they called a reverse auction, which was they divided the province up into blocks of area and asked for bids from the private sector, from independent telecoms and internet service provider companies to bid on those blocks. EORN is not involved in this in any way. We're just trying to provide you some basic information. The province will be awarding projects based on their auction process and entering into contracts with service providers directly. So again, EORN isn't part of it. It's directly through the provincial government in case of the provincial program. Next slide. But I think we wanted to highlight there are some important things for municipalities to be aware of as the province rolls out its program. Municipal rights of way and passive infrastructure will have to be made available for provincially designated projects. Municipalities will be required to allow internet service provider companies to make use of municipal rights of way and whatever passive infrastructure you might have, might be light standards or something like that, for a project that the province has designated. But they are putting into place a provincial broadband one window system to support and to assist municipalities and the companies that will be building the projects. One of the things that AMO and of course others have been saying is having municipal staff fully trained on the broadband one window system, or the BOW as they call it, is going to be essential. So we want to make sure to support that idea that municipal staff really do need to be trained on the provincial system in order for this to support your decision-making processes. There are also legislated timelines that you need to be aware of in terms of providing a permit to a company. And it's in legislation, 10 business days you're required to respond to in terms of a decision for projects that have 30 kilometers or less fiber involved, and 15 days for projects with 30 or more kilometers. So it's really important for municipalities to understand that there is a legislative requirement to meet those deadlines. The province is also setting up a technical assistance team to help both the companies and municipalities to meet those deadlines and potentially to mediate if there are some issues or disputes. And there's also a legislative responsibility or ability for disputes to be resolved through the Ontario Land Use Tribunal. That's part of legislation, would be referred there by the minister. And there are administrative penalties in place to ensure compliance. Personally, I don't anticipate the minister hopefully not imposing penalties on municipalities that are having some difficulties with timelines, but that ability does exist in legislation. So compliance is important at the municipal level. But I hope and I expect that the province will work really hard on the broadband one window system and with the development of the technical assessment team to help all of us deal with requests for access into our rights of way. And that may even be potentially trail systems, for instance, that they'll help us get through a permitting process that we may have locally. So it's just important to understand these things. I'm sure the province will be providing much more information as we go forward with they go forward with their program. Next slide. I think that might be it. Yeah, there's just some reference links here if any of your staff wanted to take a look at the legislation and the amendments that were proposed and passed by the province around the broadband or Building Better Broadband Faster Act. And I think that's it, Your Worship. We're happy to take questions if there are any.
Thanks again, Jim. And I'll open it up for questions now. I can't see everybody on the screen, so speak up if you have a question, please.
I'll watch the screen for you as well, Dennis. I don't see any hands up at this point.
Yeah. For those who I can see, I don't see any, but.
That's great. Well, I really do appreciate the opportunity to present. I understand that we thought maybe there was going to be a video from Rogers, but I think, Lisa, that'll probably be made available to the councillors.
We already have it, and
good.
I watched it today.
Okay.
Yeah. It took me a half hour to see a 10-minute video at home.
You need better connectivity.
Yeah, it took 10 minutes to see it at our office, where we now are lucky to have 50/10. So,
yeah.
And Jim, thanks again. And if there's no questions from councillors, I think we do, Jeanette, have on the agenda that the public is allowed to ask questions. Do we have any members of the public that have their hand up?
I don't believe there are any members of the public on this live stream.
Okay.
And I'm not seeing any questions on the chat in the YouTube link.
No, I don't see any on chat, and I checked Q&A and I didn't see any there. So we're all good. So it almost looks like we're finished about an hour and a half early.
Go Leafs, go.
So
It has a way of keeping the questions down.
Yes.
through you, Warden
Okay.
Doyle, there is a confirmatory bylaw that we do need to pass.
That's right. The first and second reading. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Yes, moved by Councillor Higgs, seconded by Councillor Martin. Resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce bylaw A that has been circulated to all members of County Council, and that bylaw A be read a first and second time.
All in favor? Carried.
Moved by
And the third-
Councillor Higgs, seconded by Councillor Martin. Resolved that bylaw A be read a third time, signed, sealed, and finally passed.
All in favor? Carried. And we go for adjournment.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Warden Higgins, that the meeting hereby adjourn at 6 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. And thanks very much again, Lisa and Heather and Marco and Jim. And have a good evening.
Our
Thank you
pleasure.
for the opportunity. And if any of the members have questions, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to have those one-on-one conversations. Not a problem at all.
Very good. Thanks, Lisa.
Perfect.
Take care.
All right,
Have a
Thanks
good
again,
week.
everybody.
Bye
Thank
now.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Nice to see familiar faces.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, good
Yeah,
to see
Good night,
you guys.
Marco.